Hello everyone, I'm Ari Lax, and this week I'm going to be recording with the Green-Red Scapeshift deck that my friend Tien from Boston ended up top 8ing Grand Prix Pittsburgh with. So we've seen a lot of blue Scapeshift decks, in particular Bring to Light was one I featured a few weeks ago, and that was supposed to be like the big ad from Battle for Zendikar, but it turns out some really cool stuff happens when you get to play with 4 Cinderglades. So your mana base becomes pretty painless, which in terms for this deck's actually like pretty huge because you do get to live. That 2 life does buy you a lot of time when you're trying to just like curve out perfectly, play all your ramp spells on time, and like kill them on 4, do your thing on 4. Um, a lot of times that's the 2 life that keeps you alive. So it's like a pretty big addition from the set. Um, Looking at the spells, this is a very all-in Scapeshift deck. 18 ramp spells, including 4 Explore, which is not really a traditional ramp spell people see in decks. But if you're gonna play 18 ramp spells and 27 lands, you like your deck's 40 mana. You can't go to 44 without having a non-functional deck. Let's be real here. Culinary Expedition is very powerful. It's one of the so traditional Scapeshift has this whole you need 8 actual cards to kill them. Well, Expedition is one of the few ways you can actually get 2 cards for a single card. Um, and so Tien's advice was basically if you have an expedition, you play the expedition immediately so you get the counters because getting this card active is just like the most important thing ever. Um, Sack Elder and Search are pretty much the obvious stock choices. This is the turn 1 play. This is the ramp spell that gains you 3 life by chump blocking. And there's a couple of Farseeks because it's just the next best thing because it can find Cinderglade. Relic's the interaction of choice in the main deck. Unlike the blue list, so there's this whole thing again with the 8 cards to kill them. You need cantrip interaction. Without access to, you don't have Remand, you don't have Electrolyze, you don't have Cryptic Command, you don't have Repeal. So those are like the big cantrip interaction. They're all blue. So this is the one that you get to play in green-red. And there's a long pedigree of decks in Modern that just randomly get to play Relic and blow people out. So like Black-White Tokens has done it before, and it's been great in that deck. Tron does it, and it's always great in that deck. You just beat a lot of random combo decks because, they don't have a graveyard, and they can't kill you. It's also really important in this deck because it handles Snapcaster Remand, which is like one of the ways the Grixis decks can actually handle you. And then you've got a bunch of whammies. So the obvious 4 Titan, 4 Scapeshift. You get to play 4 Valakuts in green-red. That's the big draw is you get to also just be a Valakut deck. You can just put mountains into play, activate Culinary Expedition, kill your opponent naturally. You get to play Primeval Titan. It's all just very powerful stuff. And like this is the draw to being red-green. You also get a Primal Command, which is basically another Titan. Not much to do with that. And then you get Commune with Lava. So this is a card. I'm gonna hide the text. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. Think about what you think the card does. Okay. Do you even know what set it's from? It's from Dragons of Tarkir. I kind of didn't know when I first saw it because I was like, wait, what is that? Because it's the rare that no one ever played in Limited and was really bad at constructed anyways. Um, It turns out this deck produces so much mana that you actually want your red Sphinx's Revelation. And you don't need all the cards, you just need the one that kills them. And there's a nifty thing. So you think that it says till the end of your turn. Commune says until the end of your next turn. I didn't know that, and I think every single person asked at the Grand Prix also failed to know that. The end of your next turn. So if you commune for like 4 or 5 on your main phase, probably 4. 4 is like the typical number for this. 3 or 4, I guess. Commune for 3, you hit a land. You play the land. Next turn, you play the other land off commune because it's your next turn. So you get the access to the commune cards for 2 full turns. So you can either EOT commune, make them debate countering it. If they do counter it, untap, play your real threat. If they don't counter it, just play your threat off the top and like get some card advantage out of it. Or you can main phase it to hit lands. It does a lot of good work. There is a funny aspect here. Let's see. Well, Magic Online is not cooperating. But let's do a sort by color. Green, red. That's your deck. So that's a reason to be playing a ton of these green-red lands. You need to play a bunch of mountains because you are searching for mountains here that you want to sack to your Scapeshift because that's how you ramp. But at the same time, You need green sources. There's only one stomping ground. Again, the life total matters, but you do need the ability to fetch up the red green source on turn 1 untap sometimes to search or whatever and hit your mountain count for Valakut or whatever. It happens. Um, 8, did I count? 7, sorry, 7 actual mountains. Um, it's enough to fetch what you need with Expedition at Valakuts. 4 Valakuts, 4 forests, 7 fetches. I'm not too sold on. I don't know how many you want because you don't want to pay a lot of life for your lands. But at the same time, the next best land after a fetch land is probably a stomping ground, which probably costs you blue life anyways. Because these are virtual mountains that make green. You can't play more forests really because then you just draw these awkward forest Valakut draws. So that's not great. But yeah, you're just playing a ton of lands because you just play your lands until you hit yourself and then you kill them. Really straightforward. The sideboard is equally straightforward. So this is like a pretty common trend in the format where the first time anyone shows up with some of these linear decks, unless they have a tutor in their deck, which they do sometimes, they have a couple tutor targets on the board then. But besides that, they usually just have like these 3/3, 3/3, 3, like all threes or like 4 and a 2 sideboards. And that's because the ways their opponents are going to interact with them are pretty well dictated by the other decks in the format. It's pretty easy to predict the overlap. And you only have to attack that overlap and the few decks that actually beat you heads up if people don't have the real hate for you. And that was what happened with this deck. So you've got Rending Volley, you need to fight Twin. You can kill Leonin Arbiter if you play against the old Wesco deck. Anger, you need to kill decks that are trying to race you on board. Nature's Claim, there's a lot of random enchantments and artifacts you need to take care of. Enchantments and artifacts, notably, so you need to kill like amulets, affinity cards, Blood Moon, and you need the dual utility slot. Baloth goes along with Anger of the Gods to gain life against the aggro decks. It also has the discard clause. And then Crumble is how you beat Tron, because unlike traditional Scapeshift, well, so let's rewind. Traditional Scapeshift before Ulamog. So Ulamog now just changes everything, and none of the Scapeshift decks actually beat Tron heads up. Without Crumble. But traditional Scapeshift used to have this thing, which would happen against Tron is you'd go, they'd be like, Karn, Remand. Karn, Cryptic. Second Karn, Snapcaster, Remand. Scapeshift, you're dead. And you just cast your thing over and over and you die. This Scapeshift deck doesn't have access to that looping thing. So what ends up happening is you go Karn and you're like, okay, I'm dead. Exile land dead. Exile land dead. So you do need to do something. And with 18 ramp cells, you're almost a lock to play the turn 3 Crumble to Dust. And if you draw it, that is. And, on the play, you can sometimes get out under them. Maybe they don't have a Karn or whatever. You can beat a Wormcoil. So Crumble to Dust is kind of like this big trump that puts you on even footing. The deck's, pretty powerful. And I kind of wanted to try it out because I've done a lot of, I've played a lot of Scapeshift somehow, despite never really liking the deck. And I don't think I've ever played it's been a while since I played the green-red list. I think it's been since the Treasure Cruise ban. And, seeing it again made me kind of want to see if, what's going on here because it always looks extremely powerful when it's played. I kind of want to see what the most powerful things it's doing this time are so that I have that repertoire going and I get to see, where is it actually able to go in the future.